chapter 3, verse 1 says, because of this, I, Shaul, am the prisoner of Yahushua the Messiah on behalf of you nations. Obviously, Shaul was glad to serve Mashiach, but it's interesting that he uses the term prisoner, right? In the spiritual and the prophetical, it refers to how the last, represented by Shaul, would be imprisoned because of his teaching of Mashiach to the nations. Shaul is also speaking, pretty much saying that he is a prisoner to the will of the Messiah. He cannot do anything else than what he is told by Mashiach, which may seem bad to those who reject Mashiach, but to us, it is perfect. It's how it should be. Because of this, I, Shaul, am the prisoner of Yahushua the Messiah on behalf of you nations. So the last comes to preach to the nations, to whom Shaul started speaking to. So it's because of the nations that he becomes a prisoner. If indeed you have heard of the administration of the favor of Yahweh that was given to me for you. So if indeed they have heard, then he's a prisoner on their behalf. That's the point. So because of this, I, Shaul, am the prisoner of Yahushua Messiah on behalf of you nations. If indeed you have heard of the administration of the favor of Yahweh that was given to me for you. You see how this connects as well to what we were speaking about in the previous chapters regarding how the last receives from the first, and then he gives it to the chosen few, and then the few to the many. So it goes that way. So indeed you have heard of the administration of the favor of Yahweh that was given to me for you. It was given to Shaul to then for him to pass it to the nations. That by revelation was made known to me the secret, as I wrote before briefly. The secret of the mystery, as Paul would say many times. So Yahweh would reveal mysteries of the scriptures to Shaul, to Paul. Meaning things that were always in the scriptures, but were not understood until Mashiach came, gave the Ruach to understand everything, and gave it to Shaul, who knew pretty much the law to the T, to the cross. He knew all of the scriptures, but needed the Ruach. So when he received the Ruach, the secrets were revealed to him. And one of those secrets was that the Gentiles were going to receive adoption, which he just revealed in the previous chapter. That by revelation was made known to me the secret, as I wrote before briefly. In reading this, then you are able to understand my insight into the secret of Mashiach. This is beautiful. And a lot of people most likely were angry, envious, jealous of Paul. And that would make them blind and deaf to what he had to reveal. For as he just said, was given to me for you. So why would you feel envious or jealous if it was for you that he received what he received? And the same goes for the last. It is an honor, of course, but it is to give to the few what Yahweh promised. That's right, Omar. So the greed and jealousy of the many of the nations is what many times makes them blind to the secret of Mashiach, that he wants to favor them as well. And the favor that each will receive is perfect for who each person is. The blessing of one will not fill the heart of another one, meaning each blessing is according to each person, and therefore we shouldn't want what others have because that which others have doesn't fit us, right? So in reading this, then you are able to understand my insight into the secret of Mashiach, which was not made known to the sons of men in other generations. So he's telling it, like I just mentioned, it wasn't given to those before Mashiach. It wasn't given to all the teachers of Shaul. It was given to Shaul, and to represent what would happen in the end, when everybody would be in apostasy and the secret would be revealed to one, the last, so that he would give it to the few. Well, call the many, but only the few would hear the call. For many are called, but few are chosen. Which was not made known to the sons of men in other generations, as it has now been revealed by the Ruach to his set-apart emissaries and prophets. As it has now. So you see how even now, after Mashiach, there are prophets, for is one of the ministries. The fact that the head of prophecy was cut doesn't mean that prophecy was cut off. It was the one who was in charge of, not prophecy itself, because prophecy is the testimony of Mashiach. That's a good question, Yahweh. If Shaul found out about the first and the last, I think it's very possible, because many of the things that he said are regarding the last, the second manifestation, and in a way, Yahweh reveals things about the last through Shaul. So it is very possible. But another part of me thinks that if he would have known it completely, he would have said certain things a little bit clearer. So perhaps he wasn't revealed that mystery all the way, so that he wouldn't open it all the way for the people that would read his letters, because he had also to be still a mystery for the end times. Hopefully I'm being understood, right? That was supposed to be still a mystery in the end times. So that's a mystery that perhaps he didn't get completely yet through his Ruach, or subconsciously he did prophesy about it, which was not made known to the sons of men in other generations, as it has now been revealed by the Ruach to his set-apart emissaries and prophets. The nations to be co-heirs, united in the same body, and partakers together in the promise of Mashiach through the good news. So all of those of the flesh who were Israelites and who were jealous, envious, or had that type of personality, of course, would get very angry with this secret, with this revelation, would reject it as a lie, because they didn't want any Gentile entering the kingdom with them, not understanding that by acting that way, they were rejecting the kingdom themselves, as they rejected Mashiach for going against the secret that was revealed to Shaul. The nations to be co-heirs, united in the same body, and partakers together in the promise of Mashiach through the good news, of which I became a servant according to the gift of the favor of Yahweh given to me, according to the working of his power. So as I was saying, of which I became a servant, right? He became a servant, as is mentioned here, the term prisoner, according to the gift of the favor. So he was a gift and a favor for one to become a servant and a prisoner of Mashiach. According to the eyes of the world, the flesh, it is not a gift nor a favor to be a servant, right? Because that's a slave. Nor is it a gift or a favor to be a prisoner. But in Mashiach, all things are made new and are all good in him. So to be a prisoner of Mashiach is to be free in this reality, because he who knows the truth shall be set free, right? And those who know the truth will be free. the opposite of being a prisoner. But this world is the opposite of the spiritual world. This world is the opposite of the eternal world, right? So to be a servant for Mashiach is to be a king, truly. Because Mashiach himself said, true kings serve. Those who want to be served are not true kings, are just those who have authority in this reality. Of which I became a servant according to the gift of the favor of Yahweh given to me. So there's a gift of favor for each and every one of us. And it is different and perfect to fit the desires and the everything pretty much of every single person that has been created by the Father. Of which I became a servant according to the gift of the favor of Yahweh given to me, according to the working of his power. To me, the very least. So you see how even though he mentions the fact that he was given such a powerful revelation, secrets that were not given to anybody before him, but he himself remains humble. As he says, to me, the very least of all the set apart ones. This is one of those things that I was mentioning, how it regards the last. And perhaps he was just subconscious, for he represents the last himself. Last but not the least. Right? But the least, that's what pretty much means. The very least of all the set apart ones, right at the very end. Little, as the name Paul means. This favor was given to bring the good news of the unsearchable riches of Messiah among the nations. To me, the very least of all the set apart ones, this favor was given. And you see how he himself says a favor is not like I earned it. He gave it to me as a favor. To bring the good news of the unsearchable riches. Unsearchable, because the riches that are searchable are the ones that people want. Those of this world. Not understanding that the unsearchable ones are the ones that are truly valuable. The searchable ones are just the physical representations of the unsearchable ones. But to be able to know about the unsearchable riches, there needed to be searchable ones, right? Because how would we search the unsearched unless there was something to search? Hopefully that was understood. So to me, the very least of all the set apart ones, this favor was given to bring the good news of the unsearchable riches of Messiah among the nations. So it is impossible to get these riches if we don't have the Messiah, because it is through Messiah that we are able to search the riches. To bring the good news of the unsearchable riches. They were unsearchable because nobody knew them before they were revealed to Shaul. No matter how much they would search in the scriptures, they would not see these riches. Mashiach came to give the Ruach so that Shaul could get the riches, the secrets of Messiah among the nations, and to make all see how this secret is administered, and to make all see. So he was given light, that is Mashiach, in order to show the people how this secret is administered, which for ages past has been hidden. That's why it was unsearchable. And to make all see how this secret is administered. So he was given the honor to reveal it, which for ages past, 4,000 years before Mashiach, has been hidden in Yahweh, who created all through Yahushua the Messiah. So that now, through the assembly, through the congregation, the many-sided wisdom of Yahweh might be known to the principalities and authorities in the heavens. I'll explain these 3 verses and then I'll be right back. So that now to the assembly, the many-sided wisdom of Yahweh. The wisdom is the Ruach, like I was mentioning, counterpart of the truth, the wisdom through which Yahweh made everything that was made. As we see in the books of Shlomo, how wisdom speaks through him and talks about how Yahweh used wisdom to make everything. For he made everything through the word Yahushua. And like I said, the counterpart is wisdom. So he made everything through truth and wisdom with faith, according to his will. The many-sided wisdom, because many believe it's just one-sided, but he's many-sided. There are many sides to the wisdom of Yahweh. That's why there are many interpretations to one verse, to one word said by Yahweh, even to one letter. So that now through the assembly, the congregation, the many-sided wisdom, because as I have said, the wisdom is the Ruach given to us to be connected to the truth that we left before the foundation of the world, as I explained in the first chapter, if I'm not mistaken. So now that there is an assembly, a congregation, there is a body in which that wisdom can reside. And since every person in that assembly is different, each person shows one different side of the wisdom. Because every person can see the scriptures, nature, and everything from a different point of view, according to his or her own experience. So that Ruach that enters the chosen few, since the chosen few are 144,000, are pretty much 144,000 different sides of that wisdom. Ways to put it, ways to see it, reasons why to worship and praise Yahweh. That's why every person in the body has a different function. One works as a finger, another one as an ear, another one as an eye, different sides. Just like he had a lot of wisdom when he made a finger and an ear and an eye, right? Each of those parts of the body show a different side of the wisdom of the Father. It was wise that we could hear, he made us be able to hear, as well as to see, to taste, to feel, etc. So that now through the assembly, the many-sided wisdom of Yahweh might be known to the principalities and authorities in the heavens. So it is through the congregation who receives the Ruach that Yahweh is teaching the principalities and authorities. The principalities and authorities who were not able to understand the scriptures to see that the Messiah would come as he did, and therefore ended up killing him and losing all authority. Now, through us, the congregation, they come to know what the scriptures were saying, what Mashiach came to do, and what everything was made for, in the sense of this reality. For they thought it was for a different reason, to serve them. So that now through the assembly, the many-sided wisdom of Yahweh might be known to the principalities and authorities in the heavens, according to the everlasting purpose which he made in Mashiach Yahushua, our sovereign. The everlasting purpose, not the purpose that they expected, not the purpose that some of the angels wanted, but the purpose which he made in Mashiach Yahushua, our sovereign. He had a purpose from the beginning when he chose us before the foundation of the earth, according to the everlasting purpose which he made in Messiah Yahushua, our sovereign, in whom we have boldness and access with reliance through believing him. Through our belief in him, we receive boldness and access. Boldness to speak, to live. We no longer live in fear, or we shouldn't, because we have been forgiven. We have boldness because we now understand what we believe. Back in the day, we just believe and didn't understand, so we were afraid to speak. But now we have boldness and access. We can access the riches, knowledge, wisdom. We can access heaven. We can access the Father with reliance through believing him. So very important. Before, we didn't have this because of the lack of the Ruach, because of the lack of the true Messiah. Verse 9 for Revelation 19:13, all through Yahushua. Let me see, Revelation 19:13. 19, oh, well, the name, of course, 19:13. And having been dressed in a robe dipped in blood, and his name is called the Word of Yahweh. His name is called the Word of Yahweh. That goes with verse 9, where it says, and to make all see how this secret is administered, which for ages past has been hidden in Yahweh, who created all through Yahushua, the Messiah. Right, for he created everything through his word, as we see in John 1:1. The beginning was the Word, and the Word was with Elohim, and the Word was Elohim. Then it says, many-sided makes sense, since Yahweh is omnipotent. That's right, brother. Omnipotent, omnipresent. You know how he is also eternal. His whole being is infinite. That's why we will continue to get to know him for eternity. So indeed, there are many sides to his wisdom that we need to explore and enjoy as we get closer to him. Verse 13. I pray, therefore, that you do not lose heart at my pressures on your behalf, which is your honor, your esteem. And that is important. And I do pray for that as well when it comes to the congregation, when I do have to pressure somebody, because sometimes pressure may be too much for some. Sometimes, well, also because sadly, this generation, because of the system and the way everything has been done for years now, a lot of people are very, in a way, soft, or I should say, how can I put it? Because I know soft, that can make some people already offended, right? But it's sad, but it is true. People do not take criticism that well. That's why churches that are full of people are the churches where they are not talking about sin, are not talking about what needs to be done, how we need to change, get better. Instead, it's all about you are perfect the way you are. And if that was so, then why did Mashiach have to come to die for us to make us perfect, right? So that's my point. They're kind of the fact that they give a trophy to everyone who participates, all of that makes people a little bit, and I'm missing the word that is just right at the tip of my brain. I pray, therefore, that you do not lose heart at my pressures on your behalf. Well, maybe, yeah, delicate, sensitive. That's right. Thank you, brother. I saw that you were putting. So some can't take the pressure or the heat. Exactly, Yahweh. And as Brother Omar was saying, and Yahweh, delicate, sentimental, snowflakes. Yeah, that's a good one. Touchy, all of that. Yeah, sadly, it is a fact. So it does happen sometimes that when you have to tell somebody to do better in a certain thing, and And even when you are in a position, like for instance, I have the pleasure to teach, to be in the front. And one would think that if a person hears one who is teaching, that person should put ear for also counseling or other things. If they are claiming that is a teacher and they are learning from, they should also listen to the advice. However, many times that's where everything stops, when it becomes personal, when the teacher has to tell the person that he or she needs to change in a specific thing or do something better. Sometimes that is too much for them, and that makes them want to leave. The enemy within the flesh will tell them, who is he to tell me to do this? How can he tell me this way? Why didn't he tell me that way? Why didn't he say that I'm perfect already? All of those things that the flesh says to us, so that we reject the advice, so that we reject counsel. So Shaul, and like I said, I'm not trying to put my or compare or anything, but with the pleasure of being here at the front and teaching, I do find myself thinking pretty much the same when sometimes I do have to tell somebody something, because the experience itself has taught me how many people find issue with that. And it's sad, but it's part of the generation. I pray, therefore, that you do not lose heart at my pressures on your behalf, which is your esteem. For this reason, I bow my knees to the Father of our sovereign, Yahushua HaMashiach, from whom all fatherhood in the heavens and earth is named. From whom all fatherhood. So Yahweh is Father, as we just saw here. For this reason, I bow my knees to the Father of our sovereign Yahushua the Messiah. So since Yahweh, the Creator, calls himself Father, is not because there are fathers in this reality and he wants to be like our Father. No, it is because he is the true Father, and he gave us a Father in this reality to understand that there is one in the heaven. He gave us a Father in this reality to represent the Father in the heavens. So he is the true Father. That's why it says, from whom all fatherhood in the heavens and earth is named. That is important for several reasons. We'll start with the simple one. From whom all fatherhood. So anyone who is a father in this reality, whether physical or spiritual, receives that honor from the Creator himself, the Father of all, from whom all fatherhood in the heavens and the earth is named. So not only are they children born in the earth, but also in the heavens. That is important, because a lot of people believe it's only on earth, but we see that also in the heavens. Many people believe that only on earth, because only on earth there are females and males. In the heavens, there are androgynous, the malachim. But that doesn't mean they cannot have children. It just means they don't need to get together with another malach to have children. They can have children by themselves, because they have both in one, because the heavens represent unity. So there are fathers in the heavens. Now, this could be understood, as I was saying, in the heavens and the earth, as in spiritual and physical fathers. Those who will be fathers as we enter the other reality, those who were saved through what we taught, what we told them, what we testified, they will be our children spiritually. But also, this goes with what we read in Genesis. Here it is. Chapter 4. Here it says, these are the births of the heavens and the earth when they were created, in the day that Yahweh Elohim made earth and heavens. In Hebrew, it says, these are the generations of the heavens and the earth. So the generations, meaning everything that the heavens and the earth would generate as children. Generations as in not only in the very beginning, Yahweh saw all the generations that would come to the earth through Adam, Haaretz, but also all the generations that would come from the angels, Hashamayim, from the heavens. So we see that there are children or generations both in the heavens and the earth, as it is confirmed here where it says, from whom all fatherhood in the heavens and the earth is named. So every name comes from the Father. Names are super important. That's how everything started. Yahweh means he who causes to exist. So he who causes everything to exist caused every single name to exist, and every single father in the heavens and the earth, from whom all fatherhood in the heavens and the earth is named, in order that he might give you, according to the riches of his esteem by power, to be strengthened in the inner man through his ruach. Right? Because even though our flesh with time in this reality gets weaker, pretty much is walking towards death pretty much ever since we were born. In fact, the inner man is growing and becoming stronger. So actually when it comes to the chosen few, there will be a transformation when the time is ready, when the soul is ready to receive a new body. But when it comes to the other people of the world who have died in the past, their death, if they were in Mashiach, was at the perfect time, because now the soul that was being perfected by Mashiach couldn't fit anymore in that body of flesh, because flesh and blood will not inherit the kingdom. In order that he might give you, according to the riches of his esteem by power, to be strengthened in the inner man through his ruach, that the Mashiach might dwell in your hearts, that the Messiah might dwell in your hearts, through belief, having become rooted and grounded in love. Yahweh is love. Yahushua is the root. So through Yahushua HaMashiach, we have become rooted and grounded in love. That Mashiach might dwell in your hearts through belief, having become rooted and grounded in love, in order that you might be strengthened to firmly grasp with all the set apart ones what is the width, the length, and the depth and height. This is very important. We're going to see why in a moment. In order that you might be strengthened to firmly grasp, because remember that he was talking about how he gives us, well, many-sided wisdom, but as we were talking earlier, the riches, I think it was in the previous chapter, right? That the Messiah might dwell in your hearts through belief, having become rooted and grounded in love, in order that you might be strengthened to firmly grasp. So very important to firmly grasp the kingdom, the Father, what Yahweh has prepared for us, the revelation, the mystery, etc. We should firmly grasp whatever we get from the Father so that we don't lose it. In order that you might be strengthened to firmly grasp with all the set apart ones what is the width and length and depth and height. You see how it says width, length, depth, and height, as in Atzilut, Beriyah, Yetzirah, and Asiyah. Emanation, creation, formation, and action. The four levels of creation, the four worlds of creation, and the four levels of interpretation of scriptures, the four letters of the name Yahweh. Also, it's interesting that in this reality that the three dimensions are front and back, right and left, up and down. plus time, we have 4 dimensions when we add time. But what I just mentioned regarding the 3 dimensions would be width, length, and height. But there is no depth in the sense of going within to the inner man, because that's going into the eternal reality, the spiritual one, a higher dimension than this dimension that we are experiencing. And that's why it is through Mashiach that we are strengthened to firmly grasp, to be able to grasp truly what is the width and length and depth and height, to know the love of Mashiach, which surpasses knowledge. Knowledge is limited. We will eventually receive all knowledge. But as we see, the love of Mashiach surpasses knowledge, because love is eternal. So even though we will receive all knowledge, we will continue to grow in love. And we will feel everything that love brings, which is all good. Although in this reality, love makes us suffer, because suffering is of this reality. So in order that you might be strengthened to firmly grasp with all the set apart ones what is the width and length and depth and height, the 4 levels, to know everything regarding the Father in according, the love of the Messiah, to know the love of Mashiach, which surpasses knowledge, in order that you might be filled to all the completeness of Yahweh, in order that you might be filled to all the completeness of Yahweh. Because if you only get the width, you're going to miss a lot. If you only get the length, you're going to miss a lot, etc. So if you only get one interpretation of scriptures, you're still missing a lot that can give you more pleasure in the spirit. What is the width and length and depth and height? Let's see. The Yud would go with height, because the Yud is the letter that stands above all, or actually floats over the line, the only letter. If we go in order from last to first, depth would go with the letter Hey. The letter Hey represents revelation. It is a window for you see what it is outside or inside within the depth of the house. As a window, that's why it represents revelation. And wind, like the window is for the wind to go through. Length, which would be the letter Vav, which is a vertical line, as a scepter you can use to measure length. And then width, which once again would be the last letter Hey. Depth and width connected with the letter Hey. And width, once again, because of the revelation given by the Ruach. Height, depth, length, and width, Yud, Hey, Vav, Hey. Also the Ruach, which is represented by the letter Hey. It is omnipresent. So its width is all encompassing, pretty much. And my point is because of the connection to the letter Hey in the name of Yahweh. In the sense of the worlds of creation, width would be Asiyah, length, Yetzirah, formation, depth, Beriyah, creation, and height would be Atzilut. And Pardes as well in the same order, Peshat, Remes, Derash, and Sod. And several other things can be said here, but the point here is for us to be strengthened in order to be able to grasp everything about his love for us that surpasses all knowledge. So even if we were to receive all knowledge now, we would still be in need of strength to grasp the love of Mashiach, the love of Yahweh in Mashiach. So in order that you might be strengthened to firmly grasp in with all the set apart ones, what is the width and length and depth and height, to know the love of Mashiach, which surpasses all knowledge, in order that you might be filled to all the completeness of Elohim, of Yahweh, and to him who is able to do exceedingly above. This is such an amazing verse. And to him who is able to do exceedingly above what we ask or think. Right? We may ask for something in the prayer and we kind of ignore how he can do that and much more. How that we are telling him, no matter how great it may seem, is nothing for him. No matter how we may think, he's greater than that. He's stronger than that, more capable than that. No matter how we think of him. And that is saying a lot when it comes to us who love him and know he is the Most High. We just don't know yet how high, right? That's why he's telling us, strengthened to firmly grasp width, length, depth, and height. To know the love of Mashiach, which surpasses all knowledge, in order that you might be filled to all the completeness of Yahweh. And to him who is able to do exceedingly above, not just above, but exceedingly above what we ask or think, according to the power that is working in us, because he's already within us, working in us, and that's why we've been able to change for the good so much. To him be esteem in the congregation by Mashiach, in the assembly by Mashiach Yahushua, unto all generations, forever and ever. Amen. Like I said, this is a wonderful verse. I love to know that he can do exceedingly above what I may ask or think. That's why sometimes it's hard to ask. Because I want him to do what he wants and what he can, instead of what I may limit him with by asking for something that is way lower than his expectation. So let's ask for his will. We must ask for his will to be done in our lives. And once again, I repeat to close the study, and to him who is able to do exceedingly above what we ask or think, according to the power that is working in us, to him be esteem in the assembly by Mashiach Yahushua, unto all generations forever and ever. Amen.